Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Starlight and in today's video we'll be taking a look at the new VR headset, the Pico 4. I will check the field of vision, edge-to-edge clarity and the sweet spot and compare it to the Valve Index, so let's get started. Weight and comfort. On the outside, the first thing that comes to mind is how light the Pico 4 feels when compared to the Index. It's smaller and most importantly wireless, as opposed to the Index, which is bulky and has a wire dangling behind it. This wire can get in the way while looking around playing seated sims like DCS and racing sims. Most users will appreciate the more lightweight form factor of the Pico 4 when compared to the much heavier Index. The Pico 4 battery is located at the back of the strap, which gives a nice counterweight to the headset, something which is missing on the Index and Quest 2. However, the strap and overall build quality of the Pico 4 feels much more flimsy than the Index. It also has rather tight fit, which will give you so-called VR face even after playing for short periods of time. Also worth mentioning is the built-in fan, which cools the headset internals. The air is routed through the inside of the headset, and you can feel it as a gentle breeze on your face. It will help cool you down during intense VR workouts or RuneScape playing. Last but not least, if you are doing content creation, keep in mind that the lighter headset will twitch on your head while you are talking. This will cause the recorded image to appear jumpy. Dear headset manufacturers, smooth VR preview for recording should be present by default in your VR software. Please make it happen. Lenses. The next big thing is the lenses on the Pico 4. These are the new clear pancake lenses. The name comes from their manufacturing process, as they are fused together like a heap of pancakes, not to be confused with traditional pancake gaming on a 2D monitor. These lenses seem to be much more clear, but the downside is that they filter much more light than the traditional Fresnel lenses. In practice, I don't feel that the image is too dim at the default settings, and the blacks look okay considering it's an LCD. These lenses are also pretty reflective compared to the ones found on the Index. This might cause you some problems if there is a light source behind you. The head gasket doesn't fit snugly to your face, probably to accommodate glasses. This is causing light bleed on both sides of your face, which then gets reflected in the lens and you can see behind your back, sort of. In bright content it is not that distracting, in darker scenes you will see your room. I guess this will soon be fixed by third-party manufacturers like VRCover or BoboVR, offering custom face gasket for the Pico 4. The headset comes with IPD adjustment ranging from 62 to 72mm. It is motorized, so when you adjust the value in the headset interface, the lenses move automatically. The range is smaller than on the Index, which offers 58 to 70mm adjustment range. Sound. The sound is similar to what Oculus Quest 2 uses. I refuse to call it MetaQuest. In my humble opinion, the Index and Reverb G2 are currently the best open ear experience. Some people prefer to use headphones for better isolation of the outside world. The sound on the Pico 4 is okay, but for better sound you will also want to connect external Bluetooth headphones. You can also use an USB-C to headphone jack converter, but then you won't be able to charge the headset while playing, which will lead to less playtime, which leads us to battery life. The battery life on this headset is around 2 hours if not plugged in. If your sessions are short stints of VR play, this will be okay, but if you plan to fly long missions in DCS, the last thing you would want is the headset running out of juice while you are doing air-to-air refueling. In this case, you will need to connect the headset to the charger. The Pico 4 can charge while playing, but you will no longer be wireless, so you might want to use a power bank placed in your pocket for this purpose. Well, that sums it up. Now let's get into the headset. Immediately after putting the headset on, I was astonished that everything is so clear in the cockpit of the Hornet. But due to this, I saw instantly that I need to adjust the headset on my head, because the sweet spot on these lenses isn't that big. Looks may be deceiving because you see the clarity, and because you see that clarity you also see if the headset is not centered on your eyes. You need to adjust it a few times, place it on your face so that you are happy with the picture, and then you just snap it, turn the ratchet, adjust the strap, and we're ready to go. Disclaimer: this video won't be about performance because currently I'm streaming DCS to the Pico 4 using virtual desktop, and I didn't optimize it properly for my setup because the Pico 4 is borrowed from my friend Simplex over at M Quadrat Podcast. It's a nice Polish podcast about VR, games and pop culture. If you are Polish, then you are heartily recommended to check it out, links in the description below. After adjusting the headset properly on my head, I looked at the gauges in the cockpit, and boy oh boy, this is clear. And you need to remember that this is streamed from virtual desktop. It's much more clear than the Index. It's not as clear as HP Reverb G2 or Vive Pro, but still this is really amazing what can be achieved with streaming to the headset. In order to measure the field of view repeatedly, I have put my plane on the runway between those two white stripes, so we will always start from this position. I will now rest my head on the headrest of my chair, reset the VR view. Now it's reset, and now while still touching the headrest, I will lower my head so the top of the screen that I see is on the edge of the mirror, top mirror here. So still touching the headrest. Now the edge of the mirror and the canopy is on the top of my field of vision. So if I look straight, I can see the whole canopy and a bit of world around it. However, if I use my eyes and try to look left or right, due to the stereo overlap, I won't see the mirrors. So if I look left, I won't see left mirror. If I look right, I won't see right mirror. As for the vertical field of view, if I look straight down, I will see the vents. If I look forward, I will see the edge of my seat in my peripheral vision. So the field of view is almost as good as on the Index, and for sure it's better than on the Quest 2. So the edge-to-edge clarity on this headset is really good, and if you are willing to move your head just a bit, you will be able to read everything in the cockpit. For example, the FCS table here will not be readable in the Index without VR zooming, because there is a lot of fine lines and text. But here in the Pico I can read most of it. I already told you that the edge-to-edge clarity on this headset is really good, but let's do a test. So again, I will put my head on the headrest, reset the VR view, and move my head down so I will still touching the headrest, so I look at the ELS button. I have it more or less in the center of my vision, and now looking left on the auxiliary HUD, it's readable. I can see small ghosting to the left on the advisory and beat, but other than that it's pretty much usable. And remember, I'm not turning my head to look at it, I'm looking around using my eyes, so I can make out that the heading is between 290 and 300. I can see that there is a pitch ladder which has 10, 5, 15, so those you can read. Now looking to the right on the radar, if there weren't for this cross, I would easily read that there is a BRA 245/18.5. Let's check. Yep, 245/18.5. So you can read that small print on the radar, but further the NCTR, NCTR and reset is not that readable, and the distance indicator is ghosting to the right. So, but you have almost from the left DDI to the edge of right DDI, you have almost clear vision. It starts to distort on the edges of the DDIs, but still it's an amazing edge-to-edge clarity. Looking down at the MPCD, I can read most of it from this position. However, it isn't fully clear. Still, it's better than in the index because of the better clarity. So to sum it up, the picture you see is very clear. You will probably won't use VR zoom as often as you would use it in the index. Also, there is a nice trick that I can show you. If you move your head to the chair's headrest and push slightly against it and then reset the VR view, and now you return to normal position, and you will be a bit closer to the gauges. So now you would be able to read most of it. Even the hardest one, like the heading select, I think it now shows 3 zeros, but let's check. Yes, it shows 3 zeros. Let's change it to something else. And now it shows 307. And yes, it is 307. So you can read pretty much what you see without using VR zoom. It isn't 100% clear because it's streaming to the headset, but still it's impressive how clear that everything looks. Let's do another test. I will look at the radar altimeter, and now I have it roughly in the center of my vision, and I will move my head to the right, still watching the radar altimeter. So it's clear, and now it's getting blurry on the left side, but the right side is still clear. Now it's the left side is totally blurry, and the needle is also ghosting and blurry. And going back, and now turning my head to the left. Now it's getting blurry. The right side, of course. Now both sides are blurry, and now it's completely unreadable. So still you can do a wide range of motion with your head and still have clear or somewhat clear picture. This is really nice. If we repeat that on the UFC, if I look straight at the 5 and turn my head to the left, now the 6 is getting blurry, now the 5 is getting blurry, and 4 is getting blurry. So something like this. Now all are clear, and to the right, 4 is getting blurry, 5 is getting blurry, 6 is getting blurry, and now they are unreadable. So now that we are in the air, let's talk about visuals, and I can really appreciate the clarity of the edges here and the detail level. It's really good. And also I can see the ground clearly, and the Oculus version of motion smoothing. I really cannot remember which warp is it. Let me know down in the comments. Was it asynchronous warp or space warp or whatever? But it's doing a really good job, and the motion is really clean. It's better than on the index because the Valve version of the motion smoothing introduces more artifacting. And while I'm looking at my plane, I can really, it's only possible in VR. You can really appreciate how big this plane is, how big those arms are. And it's amazing that we went all this way from Pong, which by the way turned 50 recently, to this, to virtual reality, that I can basically see outside of the jet and feel like I was sitting here on it, and see how high we are and see how big it is, and it's really amazing. I love VR. VR is a revolution in gaming which made my dreams come true. I can finally pilot a fighter jet which I wanted to do when I was a young boy. And I can click every button in this plane, which is also amazing. Thanks CD for making that happen. And also VR lets you do crazy things which you wouldn't do in real life if you were a pilot, like this one. VR is amazing for allowing us to do things like this. Just riding on the wing of a fighter jet and enjoying the view, seeing the vapor forming. There's one more thing I wanted to tell you about, and this is glare. In some circumstances like this one, when we are on completely dark field and you have these large sources of light shining on the runway, and my whole lenses are milky, so like someone spilled milk on my headset. It is only if you look straight at it. If you move your head a bit, it won't be as pronounced as when you look straight at it, but it's different to the glare in the index, so it's something you should know about. Because in the index the glare is somewhat spilled over the lens, so it's how to say, less uniform maybe. But anyway, in this headset you do have glare, and you need to have a special circumstances to see it, like this one. If you just use the flashlight, for example, you will see some ghost images reflected in the lenses, but nothing too major. But if you look straight at something like this, at the right viewing angle, you will see really bad glare. But it's localized and it's not that bad, because if you move your head just a bit, it disappears. So don't be surprised when you see it. It's not a problem with your headset, it's just glare. If I switch the taxi light off and use just the flashlight, the effect isn't that pronounced. You can still see there's some glare, but it's okay, it's bearable. But if you turn the taxi light on and look straight at it, the whole headset turns milky white. The whole headset looks like if you had fine milky mist, or maybe your lenses have fog. This is a good comparison to what I'm seeing right now. But like I said, if you move your head just a slight, it will disappear. And in case if you were wondering how the microphone and the Pico 4 sounds, I'm happy to say that it's surprisingly good. Actually, those are two microphones and you can hear it right now. If you want to know how the Pico 4 microphone sounds, this is recorded on the Pico 4 microphone. And in case you are wondering what are you seeing, I changed it using a guide on the ED forums, and now I will switch to my regular microphone. So I hope this gives you a comparison. In my opinion, the microphone on the Pico 4 is really great. I am recording it through virtual desktop, so probably recording it through native maybe will be better because not compressed. But comparing to the, for example, Vive Pro 2 microphone, it's much better. I think it's on par with the index microphone quality, so it's good. Conclusion. The Pico 4 is a headset with many features which makes it a viable competitor to the Oculus Quest 2. It has a very good picture quality and great edge-to-edge clarity thanks to the new lenses, and the PCVR streaming quality is excellent for a wireless link. There are some compression artifacts noticeable if you compare back-to-back with a wired headset like the Index, but you won't notice them while normal usage. Field of vision is a bit smaller than in the Index, but much better than in a Quest 2. There is a very delicate screen door effect, but it's almost unnoticeable. The headset is also very light, which makes Index seem like a dumbbell for your head in comparison, and the lack of wire is a welcome addition. So, should you upgrade from the Index to the Pico 4? For that, you would have to consider a few key factors. 1. Resolution is better, but it's a compressed video feed, so a wired headset like Reverb G2 will give you better results. 2. Field of vision, especially vertical, is smaller. 3. Glare and reflections. There is some glare if the conditions are right, which is in my humble opinion worse than on the index, and the head gasket bleeds light on the sides, reflecting the room, which you might find distracting if you have a light source behind you. 4. Audio is unrivaled on the index, and Pico is just okay, but if you are using external headphones this might not apply to you. 5. Battery life is around 2 hours and you will need wire after that. On the plus side, it can charge while playing, and unlike the Oculus Quest 2, the Pico 4 managed to charge more than it was using. If you are in a market for a standalone headset and don't want to support Facebook/Meta, then the Pico 4 is for you. Quest 2 has a better app catalog, but this will change over time, and Pico started with a nice selection of VR titles, which should keep you busy. And if you have a VR capable PC, you can access other libraries using Virtual Desktop Streamer. If you made it this far, thanks for watching and for your support. If you found this video informative, do let me know in the comments if you consider buying Pico 4, and don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps the channel a lot. Until next time, Starlight11 RTB. VR face. This is my VR face after using the Pico 4.